Hi, so today I've interest to talk about this thing that is still happening. I already talked about it, that's abductions, and I still feel there is need to talk more about it because it's an outcry not happening to one person or two, and you don't know who will be abducted tomorrow. Now, I was triggered to understand the genesis of abductions, and it was related to kidnapping. Previously, kidnappings were very common and they were targeting children. And why people conduct this is because maybe they want money. Yeah. But when you look at the current trends, it's like a silencing tool. It's more of a propaganda, something conducted by sycophants who later on engineer feelings that are geared towards acting against certain people. Now, Kenya is one of the nations of latest is recording high numbers of abductions. Yeah, and even though in the past governments we've seen the latest being on the highest. We do not actually have details whether it is the presidential office or governors or whichever other, but most of them are linked to the police and politicians. Now, remember Masengeli was questioned on this, Kindiki, and even the president has been called upon by the opposition to talk about this matter. If you can remember of late, of course, the people who are missing, we have Marcia War, who lived in Kitisuru, though she doesn't have any political aspect surrounding her. And the people who already abducted her were calling for ransom. That is on 4th November 2024. I don't know whether she's already been found. I've not actually found anything since the media shared information. We had attempted abduction through arrest also. Eric Omondi, Morara, Salim, that happened, but they were more of arrests that later on these people were released. And so they were saying, why were you arrested? And the results came out that they don't have any case to answer. Just the police just indicate that somebody from above. Now you see why now we blame you, the higher officers, including the presidential office. Now, of late, one of the abductions that has really triggered people to talk, and it is almost being silenced because nothing has happened. It is almost, I think, 3 to 4 weeks since Maverick Aoko, the advocate of truth, who faced inhuman conditions under politicians and then came out talking about it, and again talking about people like Raila, the president, Farouk, and of course the latest was about Farouk. So after that, we saw the first time she was abducted and she was found. Then now, currently, there's nothing. Of course, it is indicated that on her channel, somebody was pretending to be an aide, indicating how she has been abducted, and she had gone to silently to her house, and then we saw pictures, of course, of how she was abducted. But later on, after, was it about 2 weeks, information coming out that she has been found on the borders of Tanzania. Then the audience just realized that the response in her channels is not as it often is. She's very bold and she doesn't hide anything. But when she came out, it was like she's reserving and talking. And now people are saying it seems that it was the government officials who held her sides, and some of them have been arrested. And then later on, it's like they are weighing the situation. So people are still asking whether she's alive or not. I don't know. I really request or hope or wish that she's left free. This abduction from Avoko brought a lot of discussions from Kalonzo Musyoka. We saw even Sifuna talking in the parliament. We later on saw Koome commenting about it, and Mother Karua. Now, in one of the videos, Mother Karua came out and was revealing that we have some squads, like CID, Crack Squad, the Reke squads that have been culminated across the country by some head officers. And of course, she mentioned that some of them live near the previous Gachagua. So I don't know how true is this. Now that recently we had Onyonka saying that there are very negative details about Gachagua. As for the opposition, Kalonzo came out with his other men around him, and they demanded that abductions must end, and people who have been abducted, including Maverick, should come out. And nothing has happened. And it was just at that point that America also began to demand that abductions should stop, especially referring closely to the time when the Gen Z went to the streets, and so many of them have never come up or been seen since then. Some were found dead, some of them in dams, and so there was a concern. Just some days after that, Morara came up after he was attacked at when he went to Masai Land, and he came out clearly saying that the politicians around that place had hired special rec to follow him and kill him. Remember on, is it Jamhuri Day, that Eric Omondi came out also saying that the police had informed him he was targeted and he was supposed to be eliminated. Now, I listened to something from Wariungi, the former lead in the Mungiki, and there is some interesting details he was sharing. He shared that they were the leads, Maina Njenga and him, they were the key people in Mungiki when they started it up. And of course, they started it up as a sacred camp, and they did a lot of evils. I don't say they were good as such. But according to him, he said that sometimes the government would hire the squad. Then they bring at a place, these people cause a lot of wreckage and death, and then they blame it on one of the leaders of Mungiki because they have paid him and they are saying you're doing a good job. And of course, they would have implicated you, and after that, you would be shot. He shared other details that for one to be targeted, it was because they were very close to politicians who knew details about him, and they would hire malls. Of course, like you heard recently about Morara complaining about malls, and those malls then would go deeper, digging into details about their language, strategies, their stance, and their initiatives, so that once they know that, then they would come back and attack. Yeah, they kill and do that. So, of course, we realize that it seems it is purposely that any abduction cannot just be done randomly. It is targeted, and that's why people had an outcry against Safaricom revealing information about people. Now, there's a special branch that has been mentioned by Wariungi that possibly we have people in offices because, according to him, the police may not be aware, but there are people high above, because when you are held, instructions from the above will be the ones to make you be released, killed, or whatever will happen. Now, if they think you are a great threat, then you must be eliminated. Another thing that is very common about the situation that is happening, of course, is going back to money, just like what you have been seeing in the kidnappings. So, of course, the kidnapping is a bit different because they'll demand for ransom from your parents or relatives. But in this case, for political, money that will be gotten is already there, or it can be solicited. For example, if an attack of among the Pokot people, Baringo, Muranga, or elsewhere starts through that Mungiki or any other fight between groups, there is some sycophant somewhere who has realized that there is money that can be collected, maybe billions. And so they start it up, and then they create a team to go there. So as they go there, of course, they'll continue killing prominent people. Maybe somebody says something, they are abducted and killed. And in the process, then they earn this money. So if money is not there, can you see now, money is the problem. God created man. Man made money. Man made money, and money made man mad. So this is the essence of it all. Yeah. So guys, if you have to understand the aspect of abduction, it is a deeper thing that you have to research a lot on before you understand. If we look at the situations of what happened during the Mungiki time, when we had this Mishuki is indicated to have been a political mafia or a tycoon that was sponsoring some of these situations. Then allegedly, he would come back and, betray them. So that's how Kimani Ruo, Maina Diambo, many people in Dandora and Kayole died. They just disappeared. They could come pick them because now the police have been they have become malls, and squads have become mall CID, and even some of them create relationships and then learn deeper, and then they know how your movements. After infiltration, then these people would be abducted and killed. Now, currently, what is happening? Many people call themselves advocates of truth. That is why, like Eric Omondi is on the list, Morara is on the list, Wakina Salim, and many other ambassadors. Mavrok was on it, Hassan, and we saw, what else? We saw another case. Or a very painful case of Wajir, the MCA Yusuf Hussein from Delaware. Whatever it was, it led to his abduction at Enterprise Road in Nairobi, and later on he was found dead, of course, very far from Nairobi. From the international platform,
missing and 22 were found alive after the cases were investigated.
And things would get better
various CCTV cameras around Nairobi and other major towns.
Now, Turkish nationals were also abducted, and we also heard of each other because it really stirred a lot of emotions. You check at Faith Odhiambo, Ernest Nyerere, India Nadia, Shadrach Kiprono, Aslam Longton, Bob Jagi, and Jamil. All those people have encountered abductions, and some of them were closely related to the police. Now, I think in the following video, you can actually see how the police shared that they only know of one, which means whatever Odingo was sharing was true. The evolution, the problem with abductions is that they tend to violate personal liberty, and also they provoke the security system, and it's a gross violation of human rights in relation to Article 29 of the Constitution. I don't know what we'll do about it, but most abductions, of course, are happening when people are in their homes. They are just picked and they go. Yesterday, there was the Jimmy's case, and you saw how he was harassed as they were carrying him to the vehicle. We've also seen Nyoro was very afraid of going to the police because he was saying he might be lost. Sometimes when you're riding a bike, driving, walking, playing, or even in a party, that's where you'll be picked and you'll never be seen again. But for some, they come back. I don't know what they do to them. Maybe they tell them how to change and all that. But actually, if you understand the network of this, you are seeing what's happening. Now, in one situation, Kindiki was asked by the youth to comment on what he did during his time when abductions were happening. And I was afraid. He said he did the best and that is now left to the current CS. So is this an evasion, or did he actually, did he say that? And he said he tried the best what he could, but he has left that in the current hands, and he hopes that things will be better. So then, who is responsible for our safety so that abductions are no longer happening? Because it can be actually saddening for the family to have their people just disappearing. For those of you who have read the current book, A Silent Song and Other Stories, you know the story Boyi, where many young people were abducted by Matwa K, and they were forced to enroll into the military group, and later on some of them died in the process. So it leads to devastating situations, sometimes even madness of the parents or the family members. You will keep asking yourself why your father had to be lost or your mother. The other situation is that it creates a situation that is translucent, a system, especially the lawful. When we look at it, when people blame the government, then it means they are not playing their role, and we are paying taxes to offer security. Now, it means also people are looking for shortcuts, and they don't want to go for the straight or cleaner or legal ways of handling matters. They would rather take them into their own hands. So what does this mean? No wonder recently I told you about what is happening in schools now, kids fighting and even stabbing each other because they think you can just make a decision over the other. You have power over the other, especially over their life. Another thing is that it makes a state capture situation because now those who are above in whatever they call above, whatever it means. And they are ordering the police, they are forming these squads to work for them instead of work for the nation. Can you see what it is driving to? It is leading to multiple roles of people who are played in multiple ways, and therefore creating a cruel system in which officers are not going to work for the citizens but for individuals. The other thing is that it's a form of impunity, and impunity, of course, which covers up corruption and other ills, silencing people so that they don't talk when they know the truth. Yeah. I think if there are better ways to handle this and bring them down, the better. So my question is, what's happening in our system and what can be done? How do we get out of this grip that is actually trapping a lot of people? So bye-bye for now. This discussion cannot end because it is something that is still going on. There are so many pending questions, and therefore we just have to talk about it and hope and pray that something better will come up.